Good evening. Today is Monday, May 5th, 2025. Before we begin, I'd like to wish Winston resident World War II veteran Theodore Maralda a happy 102nd birthday, which is tomorrow. He's an amazing individual with a lot of great stories. So happy birthday, Mr. Maralda. Call to order.
Linda Grappo.
Paul Marino.
Paul Harrington.
Todd Archulagi.
Glenn Albanesius.
William Hester.
Candy Perez.
William Pozo.
Please, Selectman Lemire is excused. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda reviews, or anything to add or remove? Seeing nothing, moving on to the approval of minutes. Can I have approval of the minutes of our special meeting on April 17th?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Approval of minutes of our regular meeting on April 21st.
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion, additions, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor? All in favor? Heard.
That wasn't there. Abstaining.
One abstention? 601, 501. The special meeting on April 23rd.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Thank you, Lynn. Any discussion, corrections, additions? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous? Item 5, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes and may speak once. Does anyone wish to speak? Frank? Just hit the red microphone button to turn that on.
Yep. There you go.
Good evening, Frank Oliveri, 108 Shore Drive. My general question is, in 2 years, the town is going through an evaluation of all properties according to the state, correct?
Is it 2
But-
years or 3 years?
Well,
2 years. 2 years.
2 years
Years
away.
away, yep.
That means the grand list will be reevaluated, and whatever property values went up, and whatever businesses come in, that number will set the tone basically for the mill rate.
Directionally correct. Any new business that opens up would already be placed on the grand list. We would go out
And like
evaluate
myself,
them during.
I moved here from New York, so I moved in the time when the price, I bought my house at a high price, which is what I wanted. But that means that valuation will go up again, like all the homeowners in town, which means.
Some of the property did go down, but up or down, yep.
And then that's where the budget will be planned around in 2 years, correct?
I think to explain it better is that will establish the grand list. If you go back to the budget document, you'll see that there's roughly $1 billion worth of real estate out there. That number will be, basically brought to zero, and a revaluation will be come up with, and then from there, that just backs into the budget. Obviously, where the mill rate goes, it's all depending on, values of homes, businesses, cars, and then overall what the budget looks like. So it's hard to tell where it's gonna be 2 years from now. But, anyone's.
But it would be prudent for us to be conservative these next 2 years, correct?
I think it's prudent to be conservative every time. I think this board has shown, they've done a really good job. They've turned over every single rock that they could in last year's budget, which I was a part of, and this year's budget, which I was a part of.
Right, that's what I wanted to know, just so I know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
For your time.
Anyone else wish to speak? Moving on to item number 6, Town Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me take a drink because I seem to always do that. Obviously, a very important item that I've been talking about for a few weeks, and I did make this the #1 item I want to address tonight, is the Eversource project update. The Eversource work is scheduled to begin shortly. I still do not have a firm date of when they are going to begin, but it is going to be within the next 2 weeks. Eversource continues their outreach to all the affected parties, residents and businesses. Temporary signage directing customers to businesses and available parking is in the final production and will be installed a few days prior to the construction beginning. An important note to put on everybody's calendar is Eversource is scheduling an informational session prior to our next Board of Selectmen meeting, which is on May 19th from 6 to 7. I'll note that during this informational session that it's going to be exclusively on the construction work, and the representatives that will be here that night from Eversource have no input or no knowledge of the public benefit charge. So they hope that no questions will be asked about the public benefit charge, which seems to, have a lot of people asking questions. That night is solely going to be meant for the construction project that's being done, obviously, on our Main Street. So that's the Eversource project. Again, I'm still trying to narrow them down to an exact start date. They're still working through some permitting processes with the state of Connecticut, but no firm date, but it's definitely within the next 2 weeks. Moving on, the bond initiative that we took action at the last Board of Selectmen meeting, it's regarding the 2022 referendum. We are making significant progress towards releasing the additional allocated funds that were approved back in 2022. We anticipate going to the sale by the end of June. Rating calls have been scheduled and our finance office is working diligently, preparing all documents required by our bond agent to go out and sell the $8 million that this board approved of unlocking from the 2022 referendum. Social services collaboration, as talked about at the last meeting, we did bring in a lot of outside organizations, and last week we met with all of the organizations and it went extremely successful. We established a comprehensive network of supporting covering food insecurity, housing assistance, substance abuse, mental health services, aging populations, and all other essential residential needs. The collaborative approach among these organizations will ensure optimum care and outcome for our community members. Also, I'll note that Jen Kelly from our senior center is also picking up a few additional hours a week, filling in any gaps that these particular agencies aren't going to meet. Moving on, a question that obviously comes up this time of year is the American flags that are proudly displayed on Main Street. I know we talked about this in our budget process of the 26 budget. Scouring the budgets, I was able to find sufficient funds in the current year budget to complete this project this year on the town's behalf. So moving forward, the town is going to be handling the flags on Main Street. A few things that we're doing differently is we're going to be buying outdoor poles and outdoor brackets, a little bit smaller of American flag in that we hope that the wind doesn't take it, stretch it across the light pole, and then we have tattered American flags, which we obviously don't want to see. So those have been ordered. We will have them up before Memorial Day. Getting a little nervous because we reached out to the vendor today and we didn't hear back, but we still have some time, but we placed the order about 2 weeks ago. But the town is now going to be doing the flag program, and this way we can maintain it. We're going to do it right, the police escorts and everything like that. So on us for the flag program moving forward. A little fun day on Thursday. We have the state comptrollers coming to visit. Mr. Scanlon will be here on Thursday, roughly at 1 o'clock. A few places we're going to start. If you do want to join us as the Board of Selectmen, I ask that you meet us at Park Place at 1 p.m. on Thursday. And then from there, we're going to go up to the ribbon cutting ceremony at the YMCA for the new spa. And then he is picking 2 businesses himself that he'd like to visit as well that day. For those who don't know the comptroller, I worked hand in hand with him on the SEMERS program, but more importantly, this particular gentleman was very instrumental in approving a lot of grants in the prior town I worked with. He has direct pipelines, and obviously the comptroller's office has a lot of grants that they issue, so it's our day to really make a great impression on him. And you'll see later on in the agenda, we're going to be talking about the SIF grants that we're going to go out for, and he has a lot of say in where those SIF grants are spent. So if you can spend a little bit of time with us on Thursday, please meet us at 1 p.m. up at Park Place. We're going to start there. I won't give away all the secrets, but there's a big transformation happening up at that hardware store, a big investment on behalf of Albert and his family of keeping that business there for the next 100 years that it's been here for so long. But looking forward to Tuesday. Budget update, as you're probably well aware, we've been sharing a lot of detailed budget information through various communication channels over the recent weeks and appreciate the community engagement. Reminder to not this board, but to our community that the annual town budget meeting will be held May 12th at 7 p.m. at the Gilbert School. Both the superintendent and I will present a comprehensive budget overview and welcome questions from the residents that night as well. During that meeting, the citizens will vote to establish the referendum date. One of the biggest questions that I've been asked is, when do we vote? None of us can answer that question right now. That's actually set at the May 12th meeting. So to be continued on that, but big meeting coming up on May 12th at 7 p.m. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the community survey, which is closing this Wednesday. If you have 7 to 10 minutes to click on that QR code, jump on one of our social media channels or our website. 10 minutes will really tell us, feedback on where you'd like to see this town go in the future. And last but not least, thank this board and also EDC and Little Red Barn for their State of the Town event that they hosted at Little Red Barn. It was a tremendous turnout with over 100 people in attendance. The conversations that took place before and after the formal remarks were truly invaluable, offering thoughtful feedback and a real sense of connection with our community. So thank you to this board, to our EDC, and to the Little Red Barn for hosting the State of the Town event. With that, I'll open it to questions.
Paul?
How many people have responded to the survey?
Looking this morning, we look every morning, there's roughly 323 people that have responded as of this morning. The number has probably ticked up. We were hoping we would at least engage 500 people on the first survey out, so that's why we continue to push it. But we're happy with the 300 people thus far, but we want to get it. We want to get more.
Anything else?
Did we ever get any feedback about our OSHA penalty?
We did. We paid the OSHA penalty, and I apologize, I don't have it. We were able to reduce it by 50%. The town ended up owing, I apologize, Selectwoman Grappo, I'm gonna round, roughly $2,500. Water and sewer paid, I think, $2,500. Do you have the list? Do you have it? It might be, can I steal it from you? They are the numbers.
Okay.
So town hall was $3,800, water was $1,900, and sewer was $2,400. We ended up, the original penalty was $16,480. The amended penalty with the ask went down to $8,200, and the breakdown was there. We have sent that check off, and we're good there, and we're
So
still
that's
working
done.
through the compliance. Yes, that is done, yes.
Other questions?
Glad you brought that sheet, because I wasn't caught flat-footed.
Thank you, Paul. Moving on to item 7, correspondence. Does anyone on the board have anything? Item 8, boards and commissions. Selectman Pozo.
Tonight we have 2 reappointments. Renee Waldron for Conservation Commission, term to expire 5/2029.
Is that a motion or is that
I'll make a motion to,
I'll second it then.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Candy. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
second reappointment is Amanda Hill also for Conservation Commission.
I'll second that motion when you're ready.
Expiration 5/2029.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
We have unfortunately 3 resignations. Leanne Marvin, Conservation Commission. Christopher Bourne, Economic Development Commission. And Willard Platt, Conservation Commission. So we'll thank them for their service to the town. We have one nomination for one applicant for consideration, Carl Benedict, Historic Commission. So we can
We don't do anything on that one yet.
review that and put him up for nomination next time. We have 3 nominations. First, Hillary Johnson, Inland Wetlands.
Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
For term would end 4/2026. So I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? 3-3. Does not carry forward.
Is there something wrong with Hillary?
I think my understanding is that she's pretty new and doesn't really know all that much, and that's a pretty important commission. So that's what
Well,
I
I think we've
understand.
added a lot of people to commissions that aren't really, you don't know their full depth of everything. This is really unusual for you not to appoint someone that stepped forward for something that has 3 openings.
Next.
So, excuse me, we have one more nomination for 2 separate commissions. We have Jamie Cooligan, Inland Wetlands. Term end date would be 4/2027. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Just a question, is that the correct end date? Because the first one was 26.
It is, because
Okay.
we have to
They're
track.
staggered,
these.
okay. We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
Who seconded that?
I did.
Candy, okay, thank you.
And again, Jamie Cooligan for Economic Development Commission. Term to expire 4/2030.
I'll make the motion. Oh, go ahead, Bill. I'll second.
Okay, so, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous?
And as always, we have several positions which are listed on the website.
So the Conservation Commission had 2 resignations tonight,
Correct?
so is that correct? There's just 2 alternate openings? Or should there be?
That will- That will get updated after the vote.
Okay, so those aren't included in that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's it for boards and commissions.
Thank you, Bill. Moving on to item 9, unfinished business. We have nothing unfinished at this point. Item 10, new business. 25-11, proposed line item transfer by the Director of Finance, Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So before you tonight is 25-11. After our new fire chief, Mr. Field, took office, he did do a full assessment of the uniforms. Based on the needs assessments, alterations and replacements were identified. The cost estimate from security uniform, which was included in your packet, from New Britain is just under $4,000. We are suggesting we take $4,000 out of the administrative salary line, which went on unspent since August when Steve Williams had retired. So there's plenty of money in that line, and move it over into the maintenance of uniform line to outfit our men and women of our fire department.
Do we have a motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the line item transfer of $4,000 from account 1-211-190-0000-0000 administrative salaries to maintenance of uniforms account 1-211-829-0000-0000 in the amount of $4,000.
I'll second the
Thank you,
motion.
Paul. Thank you, Bill. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Item 25-12, proposed line item transfer by the Director of Finance, Town Manager Harrington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I get on a small little soapbox, but this warmed my heart when both chiefs from our 2 fire departments came into my office with this proposal. Winchester Fire Department came and said, we're not going to use our full on-call stipend funds, and our Winstead Fire Department, under our new chief, is asking for 8 new pagers. Chief Marchand said, I have 0 problems if the board wants to move $3,880 from our on-call stipend line into the firefighting equipment line of the Winstead Fire Department, so that we could have 8 pagers. Some of them will be dispersed immediately, while some will just stay waiting for new volunteers to come in. So before you tonight is moving $3,880 from the Winchester on-call stipend fund to the firefighter equipment fund in the Winstead Fire Department budget.
Thank you, Chiefs. I appreciate that. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the line item transfer of $3,880 from 1-211-900-0006-0007 on-call stipend to firefighting equipment, 1-211-825-002-000 in the amount of $3,880.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? 25-13, refunds is recommended by the Collector of Revenue.
I'm gonna take a quick second, because this seems like a very large amount. It's the largest amount that I've seen in the year that I've been here. All of this is resulting, except for one correction, from an overpayment on the motor vehicle, the personal property, and the real estate. And when speaking with our tax collector, this has to do with sending out the real estate bills late, and everybody just sending in a lot of money so they don't have to remember it. So that's why you're seeing a total of just over $43,000. We've looked at the numbers 10 times to make sure they were accurate. They are accurate. All but one are just overpayments to the tax collector's office.
I move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the refunds recommended by the Collector of Revenue in the amount of $43,155.70.
Thank you, Bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Linda. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor? Unanimous? Item D, 25-14, consider and possibly authorize the mayor to sign a letter for Community Investment Fund.
Probably going to talk about D and E at the same time, Mr. Mayor, if that's allowed, because they kind of go hand in hand. It's the resolution, it's the letter, and then maybe we can address it all together, and this way we don't stop talking about it and then re-talk about the actual resolution if the board approves. So first thing I want to bring up is the Community Investment Fund 2030. The state has set aside just under $2 billion. These community investment funds will be available from 2025 to 2032, ending on June 30th. These particular monies are only available to 55 communities out of 169 communities in the state of Connecticut. So one would look that we have a very good chance of grabbing some of this money that the state's giving out, because we're one of the 55 communities that they've considered us to be a distressed community and also an alliance district, which allows us to now apply to go after this just under $2 billion. We sat down with a team and felt one of our grants, and there'll be more coming because we have until June 30th, but the one that's before us tonight is the Sue Grossman Trail. I was the town manager that unfortunately had to share with the board and also with the public that when we were given or were granted the $2 million federal funding for the Sue Grossman Trail, that we found out that there was also a $500,000 match that went along with that. Unfortunately, at the time when we applied for the grant, it was unknown to us at that time. So we're scurrying to try and raise that $500,000. We believe that this $250,000 planning grant can be leveraged towards the $500,000 that we need to show in terms of money that we've put up. I'll note that we've unlocked $45,254 from the Building Healthier Communities Economic Development Grant. That grant was hanging out there. We sent a letter 2-3 weeks ago asking to reallocate this money all towards a feasibility study towards the Sue Grossman Trail, which is one of our first steps that need to get done to figure out all the wonderful things that we're going to do on the Sue Grossman Trail. What this $250,000 planning grant from CIF is going to do is, and I want to check every possible, it's going to be planning activities it's going to include engineering, environmental study, legal services, permitting, water and sewer incorporated planning, and economic development report. This $250,000, if the state were to grant it to us, is really going to help skyrocket this Sue Grossman Trail. Before you tonight is a letter that I hope you all read that we're asking that you authorize the mayor to sign. And secondly, a certified resolution. Anytime we apply for a grant, the legislative body, which is all of you, needs to allow me to sign a resolution stating that you've given me authorization to apply for a grant of up to $250,000 for the SIF project.
I move that the Board of Selectmen submit a letter of support for the Town of Winchester's Community Investment Fund 2030 Round 7 Planning Grant Application on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and authorize the mayor to sign the letter on behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Bill. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous.
And then we can carry right into the second one, right?
I think.
We need the resolution now, right? Or no?
I believe your motion
Covers
stated-
both?
It covers both.
Oh, 'cause there were
You have the
resolutions in
letter
there?
and the resolution, the
Okay.
certified resolution. Glenn, you'll be putting the seal on it. That motion covered the resolution, in my opinion. You're sure we done? Okay, so we'll get that taken care of. Yep. I'm sure.
Moving on to item 11, citizens' comments. The Board of Selectmen welcomes public comments. Anyone wish to speak? Come on up.
Jamie Colligan, 207 East Wakefield Boulevard. I just wanted to thank you all for your confidence in me, and I am looking forward to joining these two commissions, and I will do my very best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Mary Nair, 111 Birdsall Street. Just a comment, recently we had that road closure on Route 44, yesterday I think it was. And my husband was impacted by it, trying to get to something in Avon that was a little time sensitive. There was just a CU vehicle on one end of it and a CU vehicle on the other end of the 44 closure. No information about, where's a detour that's gonna get you back out at the right point. So he did his own first detour and came back out and found it's closed here. No, I have to go further, and up and around another one. And so it just didn't seem like a very well done situation for motorists going through 44 at that time, to have no idea how far they had to go to get past the blockage.
I can address some of that. That was Barkhamsted. And they actually did have detour signs. However, a group of juveniles went out and stole a bunch of the detour signs and hid them. But I was stuck in that detour as well, and it was a hassle. Anyone else wish to speak? Item 12, Selectmen's comments. Bill?
Just two quick things, Paul, and there you go. So I want to give a shout out and a thanks to the Economic Development Commission for the ribbon cutting Sunday at the New Lotus Nails and Spa. A lot of the selectmen were here. Linda was there. EDC sent a few representatives. They did a great job on that, I thought. It was a good event. Second, I just want to go over something with the board. I've had a request from some members at Park and Recreation. Would actually like to name a town facility that is unnamed. So I've been through some of the ordinances. Normally, we don't name a town building unless the person is deceased, unless there's an exception made by the Board of Selectmen. And then we have to form a naming committee. So I'm just kind of polling everybody to see if anybody would be opposed. They would like to name the Little Maintenance Building in the park over by the river, which is unnamed right now. At the moment, they'd like to name it after Jim Welcome, who's gonna be retiring in June. So I'm just kind of putting it out there if anybody objects. If nobody objects, then I'll do the research, figure out the costs.
You want to speak on the ordinance?
I can't speak on the ordinance. I appreciate Selectman Pozo giving me the heads up that he wouldn't be bringing it up, so I did print off the ordinance, and I'm not gonna read it all, top to bottom, but the first item would be a petition supporting the naming, signed by not less than 50 voters of the town of Winchester. So I think that petition would need to come before the board. From there, the Board of Selectmen would form a naming committee. The naming committee shall at minimum include primary petitioner, the town manager, and a selectman. The Board of Selectmen may appoint additional interested individuals to serve on the naming committee, but the naming committee should not have more than 5 members. After being appointed, the naming committee shall gather additional information, which shall include the financial impact on the proposed change, including costs such as new signage, stationary legal fees, contract revisions, public notices, and possible revenues such as grants, fees, or in-kind services. An implementation schedule would also need to be provided by the naming committee. And then, as Selectman Pozo said, that if the board wants to forego the deceased portion of it, that's something that the board would have to take into consideration before it moves into its formal. And then we would have following a public hearing. The Board of Selectmen should, after considering the public comments, vote to reject or schedule a special town meeting to be held within 30 days. Notice of the meeting shall be made in publications. And then the I was a little amazed when Selectman Pozo brought this up to me, and I said, yeah, let me look at it. Can't be that hard. And then I saw that it was. But I think it's hard for a reason. I think a lot of towns have just started naming things, and all of a sudden everything's got a name on it. So I think the town actually did right by checking a lot of boxes, or making a lot of boxes be checked before, and I'll talk very openly, to just slap a name on a building, right? I think they were right when they set this particular ordinance up, because it does require a lot of checks and balances, and ultimately legislative body approval, and this way that, these buildings, or these names, where is it? Once named of a town-owned facility may not be subject to another naming proposal for at least 10 years from the date of the special town meeting approval. So that's the process. I think, Selectman Pozo, I think you're dealing with a petition first and foremost, so this board can formally engage in the process, and then we can take it from there.
So, the petition wouldn't be a problem, and I'm willing to do all the footwork to accommodate Park and Recs. I just kind of wanted to feel out the board to see if there's an absolute disdain for this, or if there's a taste for this before, because as you said, Paul, there's a lot of work here. And I don't mind doing the work, but I don't want to do all the work, and then, is anybody opposed to considering this?
I have no objection.
I don't either. I think it's well-deserved. He's been a long-time worker in town, so.
Ken, you want anything?
I really don't have, it's a surprise, I'm still thinking about that the ordinance. This request was brought, I think I saw in the minutes, was brought by his family. The request was brought by a family member?
It was actually brought to me by Kurt, the director of the Winchester Park and Recreations Commission. So I don't know if his family was
Are there any
involved.
other buildings in town named after?
So this room is named after an individual.
The baseball field.
Baseball field, the Leanne Leclerc room across the hall, so it's not unprecedented.
I mean, when I say I have no objection to you getting the first step done, the petition done, and then getting a naming committee and see where it goes from there. I mean, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's more what I'm thinking. And again, it's not, just so you know, Len, it's not the main green building right by the basketball courts. It's the little one kind of stuck in the pines over by the tennis courts on the the one that floods every single year.
Why is it not the main green building? Why is it not the main green building?
That's the one they
Not
requested.
the green building, but the green shed, and not, by the tennis courts, the big maintenance building.
Yeah, the maintenance building.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
one.
That's the one,
Big
yeah.
maintenance building.
The one that I believe he worked out of most days.
Then it would have to go to a town meeting, right?
It would go to a town meeting.
Yeah, we don't have when you say town meeting, special meeting here, correct? Not referendum
That
at the
is correct.
school.
So it would
Correct.
be typically, like we have one coming up on May 22nd.
Correct.
To sell.
Same way we did the last real estate sales.
Correct.
Right.
Walnut Street.
Okay.
You can, contact me. You think you can have 50 names? I'm just wondering for agenda item, that's all. Just,
I would almost imagine that somebody's watching this meeting right now, and they're probably typing up a petition as we speak, and
if you can get it to me as.
probably already have 43 names off the top of their head, and
Oh, actually, it's a petition. You'll have to turn it into Glenn. I apologize. Yes,
Yep,
I just,
okay.
and then Glenn can let me know to put it on the agenda. So I just don't want the board,
right.
surprise, So
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, we'll try to keep the surprises to a minimum.
I tried.
Is that it? Or do you have another thing?
No, that's it.
If you don't mind, I just want to do a quick little shout out to the Friends of Main Street. We did the cleanup this past Saturday. There was about 30, 35 people. We were all up and down Main Street, down over the bank. It was great. And then I had the privilege to attend the Matilda 2 at the Gilbert School that the Pearson Drama Club put on. So a big shout out to Mrs. Padine and the whole staff for doing that. It was a lot of fun, especially when the power went out right near the very end, and it was quite exciting. So big shout out to them. They did an excellent, great job out there.
Did everybody just shine their iPhones up at the
Of
stage?
course.
Yeah, of course.
Instead of the lighters back in the old days,
Yes.
dated myself on that.
So much safer now.
Yes. Thank you, Paul.
Real quick, again, Bill already kind of mentioned it, but the Lotus Nails and Spa event yesterday was great. The building looks tremendous.
Yes.
So we welcome them to town and wish them great success. Quick question for Paul. There's been some chatter as I walk around town and run into people about both 508 Main and Wallens Hill. Any activity, anything happening with those properties?
Activity chatter, I can comment that there's been a lot of interest, a lot of developer interest over the last several months. No real, anything that I could present to this board, obviously, because it would be before you, but a recommendation that I would throw out there is that there is a lot of interest in obviously both of those properties. I think we may want to go to an RFQ process, which is a request for qualifications. So what we would do, and I could present it at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, is that we go out and we ask these particular developers who you are, what you have done in the past, your financials, your resumes, and maybe engage in conversations with individuals or developers that you all feel that they have the qualifications that you're all looking for to potentially, develop, those parcels of land. Your other option, you could go back on the MLS, but I think you really should look at an RFQ process. Those are two properties that get talked about a lot in my office. Is what do you guys want there? What do you want to do there? And my blanket response is it's a blank canvas. Why don't you propose something to the town and I can bring it to the Board of Selectmen? No one has done that. No one has formally put pen to paper, and really, expressed, this is what they want to do. So, if the board wants, I could create an RFQ for both those particular properties, show it to you all at the next meeting on the 19th, and see where we go from there. Maybe fine tune that RFQ, but that would be my recommendation is, let's see what these developers, have done in the past, and what they're capable of doing. Just a suggestion.
Now, we've done RFPs for those in the past, Candy, is that true? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, we've done all sorts of different things depending on what it is, but I think, what Paul's doing on this one is here's property and you want to develop it the right way. Because we have certain needs in town, not all sorts of needs.
So that,
I just would really think that we need to be careful in this conversation.
But an RFQ allows us to be cautious as we move forward because we get the qualifications of the different interested parties, yes?
What you're looking for is just what they've done in the past, is what you're engaging. You're not formalizing any conversation. You're not saying that you're going to, sell the particular property. You're just seeing who may be interested in a particular property and what they've done in the past. And make, you know, you're not ultimately making a decision based off of an RFQ, but, you know, there are interested parties, and let's see what they've done in the past.
It sounds like a
Engage.
reasonable way for us to go.
Yes, RFQ, yeah, I think so.
You opposed to that idea?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
Plus, we're only in the comment section, we're not in the action section.
Don't we have other I mean, we still have some properties that we have with the real estate agent that we haven't settled on, right?
That is
So
correct.
now, those haven't been taken care of or finished, so you want to bring in 2 more projects that have been out there for years that haven't gone anywhere. I think we should clean up the, I don't know how many, are there 8 left that, what happens to that? Is there a contract with the real estate agent that we continue with him for so many months, or can we stop whenever we want, or what happens with those
We
properties?
did, I'll have to go back and look, we did give, I think, 3 months on the original listings of those
Okay.
8 or 9 properties that
Okay,
we
so
listed
that's
originally.
about-
And I think Selectman probably brought up a good point. The remaining properties, all but 1 property, we've gotten no action on.
Right.
So it wasn't from me not wanting to present, and I have no offers to present to you on
Right,
those other
right.
properties. So I know the real estate agent is working hard, they are on the MLS, but to date, we've gotten no action on them.
Okay, so 3 months, we think it's 3 months?
I believe it's 3 months.
So
You're gonna
after
be
3
getting
months,
close.
then nothing, then it's done. Those properties, those 8 properties are off the market?
No, the board then can take action to keep them on the MLS, but we have the ability to pull them off of the MLS after 3 months.
Or we reassess their value.
Or we can also reduce the prices on them.
Correct. We could.
And try to market them still, so. They're not gonna, they're certainly not gonna go anywhere if they come off of MLS. So we need to continue to market those. 508 and Wallens are different properties than selling, you know, an abandoned house. They require a lot more wherewithal, and and if an RFQ is willing to bring interested parties to the table to sort of put up or shut up, I'd be interested in having to see who those people are and what they're interested in doing.
Yeah, my biggest concern is that 508 Main Street with the roof and, you know,
It's not gonna get any better.
it's not gonna get any better, and I personally would just hate to see that building come down and have that empty space. I don't know about everyone else, but I'm sort of a history buff, as some people know, and the character of the town, it changes it, that empty space there. You know, it's tough enough, the other side of the river's gone, good, bad, and different, but I just, you know, just more empty lot, and there's a lot of property, I believe, that goes with that too, up in the back and stuff, so.
There's 3 parcels. I was
Yeah.
in 508 Main Street Thursday last week. It's deteriorating. You know, we did lose a little bit of the roof. We've tried to repair, but it still has its character. It still has its charm. The outside of the building, especially in the front on Main Street, is absolutely gorgeous with the, I'm not an architect or a designer by any means, but just the overall character and charm of that building, if restored, it could be a real gem on our Main Street. So I was in there on Friday. Insulation's falling because of the roof and the ceiling, but it's a nice building. It's a beautiful building.
Other comments?
Yes.
Katie?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the people watching right now. We don't have a newspaper here in town, so it's hard for people to get information unless they watch our meetings or somehow are watching on Facebook, but sometimes there's nothing happening on Facebook. But basically, that's, again, I've said it before, that's how we're learning it. I want to make the public aware that the Board of Ed is starting to negotiate a contract with the Gilbert School. And it didn't start in our conventional way earlier in April, so therefore I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. Regardless of how you feel about this, it's important to the public that you observe and listen to meetings that are happening. The initial request is for a 10-year contract. This represents $90 to $100 million over these next 10 years of town taxpayer money. Currently, the Board of Ed Committee has no minority representation on it and is only represented by one side of the aisle. Tonight across the hall, they started their committee discussing this contract. Based on their agenda, most meetings will be an executive session. While this may be warranted for some things, I believe there should be some transparency in their action, given the impact on the budget of future town leaders and future town taxpayers. One of the reasons I understand that the contract was brought forward by many comments by people in our budget hearings was that they were looking to save considerable money on this budget. One of the hopes was maybe, I've heard from a couple taxpayers about administrative costs. The Gilbert School recently just hired a new head of schools, most likely negating the savings that some of these taxpayers were talking about recently. So I certainly hope that you all watch and pay attention to it, and I certainly hope that whoever is involved in this, and those people that are advising them, that they get this right. Thank you.
Linda, anything? In closing, next Monday, 7 p.m., the Gilbert School Town Budget Meeting. That's the date that we will be selecting, the date for the referendum, as well as pushing it to referendum. So that's Monday, 7 p.m., that's May 12th. Also, coming up the following Saturday, the 17th, the 85th Annual Pet Parade / Laurel Parade. So those are both events happening before our next meeting. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? Good night.